Welcome, amazing agents from across the country. Today is November 9th, 2017, and this is Mastermind call number 151. Our illustrious coach, Chad, is on tour. He's on the convention circuit. He's actually at Tony Robbins today. As a few of you know, we're pleased to meet you. We were at NAR last week, and the next convention we'll be at, if you're planning on going, is Triple Play, the first week of December. And if you know of a good convention that we can go to, keep us, your company, etc., keep us in the loop. We always like to meet with y'all face to face and really put a name to put a face to the name. So let me go around. We do have 3 people in the queue. Again, hit *6 and hit 1 if you'd like to actively participate. I'll go around with my partners. Tim, anything you'd like to share with the group?
The only thing I'd like to say is we do eat our own dog food, as the saying goes. We're going to be getting together again the first part of next week as partners. I think if you follow these calls, you know that we got together in West Virginia a couple of almost a month ago now and talked about kind of where we're going for the next few months and how we could do a better job of supporting you. And we're actually having the opportunity to come in and get some adult supervision ourselves next week. We've hired an advisor to come in and spend some time with us to help us make sure we're growing properly and doing good things. So you can just continue to look forward to us doing more and more crazy, awesome stuff for you as the time goes on. But we know that we don't have all the answers, so we look for them from not only external sources but from you as well. And any suggestions that you can make for us, we'd love to hear from you about what you think we can do better. Just let us know.
Excellent. So we're not quite perfect, just getting close all the time.
Well, you are, Jim. You are, of course. I realized I forgot to say that, but, you know.
Well, thank you. Tom, anything you want to share with the group?
Just my normal. If customers need anything, please don't hesitate to let us know. That's what we're here for. You can always get us at wait a minute, I'm stumbling
support.
Here. At support. At all, I need a cup of coffee. Support at alltheleads.com, or if you're in your account area, just click on Contact Us, and just be specific. We track all these items and get back to you as quickly as possible.
And every time you say that, I always have to reiterate, we have, because I get at least 5 or 6 calls a day that end up with different people that are meant for me. We have 4 partners, and we now have 9 employees, soon to be 10 employees. So the best way to get the quickest, most efficient help is just be real specific. You don't have to know who you're looking for, but be real specific when you hit that Contact Us button with what you need, and the best person will always get back to you. Usually,
who are you hiring? I didn't know you were hiring anybody.
We hired a coach. You just mentioned it.
Oh, okay.
He's our 10th. We're paying him, so he's our 10th employee, right?
I mean, I'm the CEO. I thought I might know if we were hiring somebody. I was just confused.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, we have 4. You've listened to us banter. We have 4 people in the queue, and we love participation. We really appreciate y'all that are in there, and there's room for more. Just hit *6 and hit 1, and you'll be up next. And first up is Maya, phone number ending in 3917. You're up first.
Perfect. Hi. Thank you for taking my call. First, I want to tell you guys that this software is amazing. I have not had access to it but like a month, and it has been very I'm pleasantly surprised at how I have been able to contact so many people in a short period of time. It definitely has made this process a lot faster than I thought that it could ever be. And so my
Wonderful.
first
Thank you.
question is, I have come in contact with a estate who wants to sell, but they have a tenant in the property who has been a tenant of the family member that passed away for over 25 years. The lady is a hoarder, and they have tried to engage, getting her to move out, but she is adamant that she just does not want to leave. She starts to call the relatives and, cry and all this other stuff. how would you approach a sale, or do you think it's wise to sell a property where you know that there is a hoarder there with her in there, allowing the next person to inherit the tenant?
Yeah, and I have to tell you, we've had similar questions before, and you always want to proceed with compassion. It's going to be a traumatic experience for this lady having to move after this many years. Now, having said that, you know, you do represent the heirs and the new sellers, and you're probably not at all doing them a favor moving forward with her in there. You know, a house that, first of all, you know, I used to have a lot of rental property, and getting the tenant to show it is going to be a nightmare. And even if you get them in to show it, it's sure not going to show well with all that stuff in there. So I think you're going to have to, and maybe Tim can weigh in also, I think you're going to have to kind of, first thing I would do, of course, is get the property listed, you know, because if you're going to deal with this, and if you're going to handle this with the people, I would definitely get the listing signed and tell them that you'll do everything you can to help get the lady out of there, because you don't want to go put all your effort in and then have them list with a friend of the family or something. So get it listed.
Sorry,
go ahead,
I forgot
Tim.
a very other important part. So I already have it listed. I have the property listed.
Oh, beautiful.
We had it under contract. That they were not allowing any showings until the property was under contract. So once, and they got offers above asking price, but they wanted but that was because they hadn't seen it, right? So once they wanted the new buyer they were asking the new buyer to sign a 12-month lease without an early termination clause for the landlord to allow this lady to remain in the property. Well, they got a contract. They had someone who wanted to buy it, and then they only later found out that these buyers said that they were willing to do this, but they had been dialoguing with the tenant, and they had the intention of trying to get her out as well. So then that contract fell apart. So now they're looking at they can go back to those higher offers, but they're trying to see if they should just drop the price and see if they can find someone who will buy the property sight unseen, because the tenant is continuing to engage people who come into the property and, you know, saying that she's not leaving. It's kind of where we...
So couple questions. I'm assuming there's significant equity in the estate, correct?
No,
no?
Yes, there is equity in the estate, but this is a house that, you know, we're talking like a $70,000 house. This is not...
okay.
You know.
And then another quick question. Is there an existing lease on the property?
There is.
Okay, and now I don't know, boy, good question for an attorney is when someone dies, does that invalidate the lease? It probably does not. So when does the existing lease expire?
Not until May.
Oh, till next May. Okay.
Right.
So evicting is not an option, you know.
Well, then it gets a little bit harder because they said that you can't. They had there's a property management company in place, and the property management company said that you cannot evict someone based on the hoarding conditions of a property because it goes into like mental health or something.
Right. Understood. And Tim, you're next. Tim wants to contribute. The other question I was going to ask you is, what is the monthly rent?
It's $650 a month, and she pays. And she's been paying on time. So, it's not that she's a bad tenant. They just want to get rid of the property. And it's hard, and it's stacked from, you know, floor to ceiling because there's so much stuff in there. And she's not willing to get rid of anything.
So my first thought, and Tim, I'll turn it over to you. And I just have one closing thought is, would it make more, in my mind, it might make more sense to try to bribe the lady and give her 6 months rent to go live somewhere else than try to sell it with her in there, because you're probably going to take us.
Yeah.
Oh, and they couldn't bribe her. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Tim.
Tim, you got some suggestions. I'll let my partner take over.
Well, it's a different kind of bribe. So here's the bottom line: the lease expires in May, right?
Correct.
And she knows that it's not going to be renewed, right?
She does not know that because they had been trying to sell it to someone who would inherit her and would sign another 12-month lease. That was their goal. They were trying to sell it to another investor. But what's happened is when the inspectors go in to view the property, they have it under contract, people are having the property inspected. She's saying, oh, I can't believe they're trying to sell this property under me. I paid $218,000 in rent. She has a sense of kind of entitlement to the property as if she is the one that owns it. Yeah.
Sure. So here's what I was going to suggest. So if they're still stuck with this property in May and they decide to redo the lease and keep her in there, they're not going to sell this house. There's way too much hair on this deal. So what I was going to suggest is that instead of trying to bribe her or get her out of there, anybody who's a hoarder, they have other issues as well. And I'm not going to comment on her mental state or anything else because I don't know her and not going to make a smart aleck remark. But here's what I would suggest. There's a real easy answer if you can get it that way, which is to, you need to act as the intermediary here. Go sit down with the lady and say, look, they're not going to renew this lease. At the end of your term, you're going to be out. So you basically, you're kind of sitting here in a lame duck mode, and they're nice people. They don't want to throw you out in the street. Nobody does. But why don't we find you another place to be, and we'll help you get moved and do all the things necessary to do that. Rather than offering her money, if she had the ability to go find another place, knowing that they want to do it, she would have already done it. Help her find the other place. Go find her another place to live, and let them participate in that process. And they can take it out of the proceeds when the property sells if they choose to go do that. But let them find her another place to go live, and then get the house sold.
Okay.
That's the best way to do this. Then she'll go if she knows she's going to have to go anyway. I mean, they're going to have to be strong on that part of it and make sure that the lease is not an automatic renewal. And if it does, what could they raise the amount to make sure that she gets out of there, and just say, look, they're not going to do this unless it's going to cost you a fortune to stay here. They want you out. They want to sell the property and be done with this. So let's get this done, and let me help you find another place. They're going to give you some help to get that done, and it'll all be good.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Even if you had to prepay 6 months rent for her, she's got another free place to live in. Whatever you got to. Yeah.
Just don't expect her to go do it, because she's not going to do it. She's already got her strategy is well in place, and it's working, which is to deny that she's got to leave and basically complain about it and play the pity card. And they've all they're allowing her to go do that. So somebody's got to sit with her and say, look, that's not going to happen. And rather than waiting until 2 weeks before this, and then you're going to end up getting evicted or fighting with the sheriff, or it's going to be messy for everybody. Let's do this nicely. Let's help each other here, and let's find you a nice place to live. What kind of place would you like to live in?
Okay. That's good advice. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And thank you for participating, and good job. You've only been with us just weeks, and you're already generating, deals and business, and thank you for your kind comments. We appreciate it, Maya.
Thank you.
All right, we have four more people in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 8666. You're up next.
Yeah, this is Probate. I just actually registered today to start getting leads, and so
about an hour ago. So how many listings have you taken so far?
Tons. I can't tell you how many.
Okay.
The fortunate thing is I have a lot of experience in doing probate, because I have been on the buy side, and I do at least 1 or 2 a month that are probate properties. So
nice.
So I have 2 right now that are on contract. So I do quite a number of them. So here's my question for you all would be this, which is, I know that the first thing to do would be make a phone call to the individuals as soon as possible. I'm guessing, though, that the probate attorney is the one that's the most difficult to get in touch with, because they don't want to take your phone calls. But the actual person that the estate, the trustee for the estate, I imagine would be the one that actually would pick up the phone. And the idea is that when I'm talking to them, it's basically, say, hey, I'm so sorry for your loss. What I do is, and then kind of go through, how I'm an expert in it and how I would take care of the entire situation for them. including
Sure.
an estate sale to do the furniture and so forth and so on. And then I send them a letter that follows up, or send them an email if they give me. I don't know if I have an email for them, but is
Yeah.
that the idea?
Yeah.
And
Well, first of all, it's I won't criticize you for it because I don't even think you got your welcome email yet. But as soon as you get your welcome email, watch the fast track videos. There's three 15-minute videos that kind of walk you through the process, and we recommend kind of the reverse order. Send a letter, follow up with a phone call. Get the lead, send a letter, follow up with a phone call. Couple reasons for that. When you send a letter, it's a little less of a cold call. And the letter is really about introducing yourself and what you can do to help them. And then the call is more about asking them good questions, of did you get my letter? Make sure you understand what it is I have to offer, and how can I help you? Asking them good questions to find out what they need help with. And the other thing you mentioned there, we don't recommend saying I'm sorry for your loss because it's great to have empathy, but it can come across as not being sincere because you don't really know them. You're really not sorry. A better opening would be, I understand this is a difficult time for the family. That's why I'm doing this, and I put together a whole team of people to help you. You want to show empathy, you understanding and acknowledge that it's probably a difficult time, but it can come across as insincere to say I'm sorry for your loss. At least that's been our experience. And we kind of call it empathy versus sympathy, and it's really it's kind of a tough differentiator. But that's well said, Jim.
Right. Okay. Got it. So I know this is a very tough time for you, and that's why we do what we do to really help you, to take the load off of you, so that we come in and really take care of it all, so you can be able to move on. Is that kind of the idea? Yeah, and then just ask good questions. And I would even say, this is probably a difficult time for your family. When I was doing it, I had a guy say, not really, dying was the best thing that SOB ever did. So, I mean, occasionally you'll get somebody who it isn't a tough time for. So I would just say something like, this is probably a difficult time for your family. That's why we do this. And, I have a whole team of people to help you. And then Chad always has a really good open-ended question. So what's been the most difficult part of the process so far? That's a good open-ended question to ask them. Let them know who you are, why you're calling, how you can help them, and then ask them an open-ended question to find out what's the best way to help you, or what's the thing you're most struggling with. And more often than not, it'll be the personal property. And that's a big relief to someone if they know you have a comprehensive estate sale company that'll come in, value and purchase the valuable items, do a yard sale to get rid of the stuff that's not real valuable, and then have a charity to donate the rest of the stuff too. That Chad calls it the real estate or the probate quicksand. People tend to get stuck in that quicksand, and they're 1,000 miles away, and they don't want to list the house until they deal with the personal property. Get everything in order. Exactly.
So
I just have two. So I have two follow-up questions, which is because I'm a number-driven kind of person, right? So, in my situation, there's 3 people, including me, already there. What's the likelihood, I guess, and I'll give you both, what's the likelihood that they've already been contacted by one of these other 2 people or somebody else? It could be somebody else, of course, too. And then the other one is, what's a valid percentage that you say over a month, 6 months, let's go say, or over a year, you say, okay, these are the number of people based on the number of leads that I, was able to convert. Does that make sense? So what percentage is pretty good? Absolutely.
We do have agents we have agents in rural areas that send letters and do real well with the mail, but in most markets, it's a pretty fair assumption that they probably got letters, maybe a letter or 2, or if you're in New York City, or in New York City, 50 letters. But in most markets, our subscribers tell us that when they call, a majority of the time, they're the only person actually calling them. Now, if we have 2 other subscribers in your market, unfortunately, don't automatically assume that they're getting 3 calls, because unfortunately, even with our subscribers, a lot of them just rely too heavily on the mail. So I always tell people, if you pick up the phone and make the calls, even if you got a little bit of competition, that with our subscribers, you're going to get more than your share if you pick up the phone and make the calls. And let's face it, you're going to bond with some of them, and you're going to get along with some of them better, and somebody else might hit it off with different ones. But you've got enough leads there that you don't need to have a high conversion rate to have it make a lot of sense. And my standard answer to the conversion rate, it sounds facetious, but it runs between 1 and 20%. We've got a guy in rural Arkansas that's been with us for years that gets 15 leads a month and consistently does 2, 3 deals, 4 deals. And then we've got a subscriber in New York City that gets 300 leads, and he generates about a 1% conversion. It really depends a lot on your market and a lot on how aggressively and how good you are at working the leads. I think Chad always says somewhere for a typical market, an average subscriber, somewhere in the 2 to 3% range should probably be your minimum
online leads, in my opinion, in that way. So it's that's a pretty standard percentage of conversion.
And I think you're going to do better than online leads, because online leads tend to be someone who just visited a website. These are typically much hotter leads because it's someone that just, in most cases, inherited a property they weren't planning on owning. So your conversion rate should be better than online leads, but I'm trying to be conservative and set a goal of 2 to 3%. And we have a little ROI calculator on our website. You can go in there, put in your expected conversion rate and your average sales price, and most of our subscribers that do that end up figuring that their return is somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000%.
Right. No, I can believe that.
Sure.
And so, and would you say it's like 5 to 7 touches? That it usually takes. And of course, you wouldn't want to call them right off to another. You'd want to space them out, because then it seems like you're just being too aggressive.
Our recommended program is 3 letters followed up with 3 phone calls. You can certainly call them more often, and you can mail them more often too. A lot depends on your budget and the number of leads you get, and how prolific you are at getting on the phone and making the calls.
And the same thing you're going to find out is that as you get started and you follow through the system and you put your letters out and you start making the calls, after a couple, 3 months, you're going to get a good feeling in your market for your own statistics. And, the stats vary widely. It really depends on the market. It also depends on the nature of your own specific court's reporting as to what's actually in that data and all of that. It's a numbers game, and the more you throw at it, the better you're going to get results. And I think Jim's point is extremely well taken, is that it's like anything else. The harder you work at it, the more you're going to be successful. If you're diligent in that follow-up, you make sure that you bang on them really hard, and you make sure that you try to make contact with all of them and don't give up until you do, you're going to get some business if it's there to be gotten.
Got it. And so it's the same thing, in my opinion. It's like the same. 5 to 7 may be too high, and then what's the gap? And the last question, what's the gap you would suggest in between when you send the letters out, when you make the phone calls? Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks?
So if we do the mailing for you, we have an in-house system that does it, and urge you to take a look at that. And if we do it for you, what we do is we send the letters out to your customers at the same time. We send one directly to you. So when you receive your letter, you'll know that the letters went out and that your customers have them as well, and that's your signal to start making phone calls.
And then when's the next one go out? Like another week or 2 weeks?
Generally, we say once a month. Send them out once a month.
Got it. So once a month until you just feel like the budget's too much, I guess.
Well, and really, our kind of approach is this. We say, hit it for 90 days. Make sure you do the 3 touches, 3 phone calls. Make sure you've at least done everything you can to get in touch with them over that period. And then put them in a cooler file and come back in about 6 months. And Jim will also tell you that we've had lots and lots of people who get on these calls and say, I just heard from somebody that I talked to or that I left a message for or sent a letter to almost a year ago, and they finally decided they were going to sell the property, and I was the one that they remembered because I called them and had sent the letter, and they found it. So, the value in these continues to get there. Think about the circumstance. Oftentimes, even though it's in probate and it's been done, the decision hasn't been made to deal with it, or someone else is still living in the house. They're not going to do anything at all. They're not going to sell the house, so they don't bother returning your phone call, and circumstances change, and now you're there.
Got it.
It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's again. I always say it's a statistical probability, right? That's what it is. Statistical
You betcha.
probability.
You betcha.
You know what I mean? It's just,
All right.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Oh,
your
you're
time.
very welcome. I didn't mean to cut you off. Thank you so much for joining, and we'd love your
that was my last
participation. We have
Thank you.
3 more people in the queue, so let's go to phone number ending in 2316. You're up next.
Hey guys, appreciate it. My name's Matt. I just wanted to, it seems like every time you guys have a mastery call, or not a mastery, but the certification that you offer, I seem to have
that's
some type of conference.
That's a mastery,
Yeah.
the mastery program. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, I seem to have a conference or a mastermind of my own to go to that was already pre-planned. Is there any way to take that at our own pace by chance?
Yes. Yeah, just send an email. Chad will do that for you. You can do it online, you can do it via recorded, and then just do maybe one live session with Chad. Send an email to Chad, CHAD, at alltheleads.com, and just tell him that you're having a hard time hooking up and you'd like to find another way to take the course, and he'll do that for you.
Okay, excellent. I appreciate
Okay.
it. And then last question, regarding the campaign setup, I'm having some trouble running through and figuring out exactly what y'all need from me and what I need to be inputting where and how to go through that. Is there someone I can call that y'all
Yes,
see?
sir. Yep.
Absolutely, Bud. If you'll just drop an email to support and say you're having a challenge doing that, it'll get to the right person, and Alyssa will give you a call back and walk you through every step of it.
Okay. And then I promise this is the very last question.
But just send it send the message, send it to support@alltheleads.com. She'll get back with you today.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
And then last question, sure. Regarding the leads, when you see that the executor has the same address as the decedent, does that signify that it's a spouse and there's not really a transfer of any real? I'm just trying to get some insight into when you see the executor and the decedent at the same address.
Could mean anything. It could mean that the person is still living in the home, that is there. It could be a son or whatever, and they still have to move the property. You're not going to know until you make the call and get it's not any different than anything else. Just because the address is the same, there's still oftentimes that property needs to get sold, and in a lot of those cases it is a sibling or it is a surviving spouse, and there may not be a plan for it, but you still have the opportunity to engage them in that conversation. But don't negate it just because that address is there. It doesn't mean they're not going to have to sell the house.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for your help.
All right. Thank you so much for all the participation today. We have 3 more people in the queue. Phone number ending in 2825. You're up next.
Hi, this is Sherry. I just got in the queue because I thought I needed to in order to be on the call, but I don't really have a question. I don't even have my first set of leads yet, and I just am finishing my class 3 of
problem.
training. So
Welcome
I don't
aboard,
really have
Sherry.
any questions at this point. Thank you.
Okay. Nice talking to you. Next up is phone number ending in 4100. You're up next.
Hi, this is Gail in Menlo Park, California. I got my first listing. Yay. And
yoo-hoo! Awesome. Good job.
in Burlingame, and that's awesome. And when I was talking to the personal representative, he said, well, do you know that you're going to have to wait 20 days? And I said, well, I was going to call your lawyer and check on to see what is happening. Do you know what, does it sound like we need a court confirmation?
Well, I wish Chad was on the call. California is a different ball game, and you guys have more rules and regulations, and Chad would be able to answer that question for you. But I think you're on the right track. I always tell anytime you get a listing or you have a question like that, call the probate attorney. He'll tell you what the specific situation or what the specific law is. He was saying you had to wait 20 days to sign the contract or to close.
No, he already signed that. He said before we could sell it.
So does the executor or the personal representative have complete authority?
Yes. He's got all the documents.
If they've got complete authority, I'm not sure what the waiting period would be. There may be something having to do with your board of realtors or all that sort of stuff. You could check them as well, but the attorney can certainly tell you. But if they have complete authority, you've got a binding agreement anyway.
Yeah, okay, that's good. And then I usually get my leads on the 7th, and I still haven't received them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. That's not a fixed time frame. It just, it's always subject to weekends and holidays and other stuff that happened, and maybe they overate their Halloween candy. Our researcher in that market, but we'll definitely get them to you. And congratulations on Burlingame. I know that's a nice market. I suspect that's a pretty nice listing for you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Now that Burlingame, since that's your first success, and you're relatively new also, you haven't been with us that long. How did you sent the letters out, and did they call you or did you call them?
No, I called him, and he said, well, we're leaning towards the person that sold them the house about a couple of years ago. And so what I said, is it okay if I send you a package, my marketing plan and all of that? And he said yes, and I would leave a message, like every 2 weeks or so, and he finally called me back. So
awesome.
I'm sure that the marketing that I sent and the letters meant a lot, but the calls, I think, are really critical.
Yeah, could not agree more.
Indeed.
And
Yep.
I'm assuming you didn't even meet them face to face, right? It was email away the paperwork and wait for it to come back?
No, I did meet them face to face.
Oh, so there was a local person. Okay, good. That's even better. Often these don't even require a listing appointment if they're out of the area. But congratulations, so you're 1 for 1. Now cash that check and move on to the next one. And thank you so much for coming.
Like 1.7, 1.8.
Wow.
Nice.
So you just paid for the probate leads for about 30 years, I think.
Yay!
1.8 million. Do the math. Good for you, Gail. That's great.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I want to double end it too.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Now, it's funny you say that, but depending on your board, we do have a significant number of agents that will sit on the listing for a week or two if it's priced right, put up an open house sign and try to double end it. So if your board allows that, you're not going to get in any trouble. It's not a terrible idea to double end it yourself.
I think it's fantastic. Thanks so much for everything, you guys.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm pretty sure 6% of 1.8 million is more than 3, right?
Yeah, well, we do 5 now. I don't know.
Oh, geez. Can you afford to live on that?
Still, that's nice.
I'm just kidding. Absolutely. Congratulations. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right. We have 2 more people in the queue. Phone number. Wow, you got a long phone number. That can't be right. Phone number ending in 2535. You're up next.
All right. Well, I call in from the investor's point of view whenever I call on these probates, and I'm
Sure.
not sure. I'm not sure if this is necessarily a probate roll call for the calling session. But my question is, whenever I call these people, the executors, it always says, or I always start off with saying that I'm an investor and I'm looking to buy a home in a neighborhood. But then I ask them if their family is actually planning on selling the home. I was wondering if there is a better way of asking them this without it seeming so harsh, because I've been called, vampire or ambulance chaser and stuff like that. So I was wondering if there's a way to kind of smoothen that out.
Yeah, absolutely. We recommend, whether you're a realtor and investor, that you take the same approach. Don't refer to yourself as a real estate investor. I would say that, you're a probate expert, or you specialize in helping people that have inherited property, and offer a holistic approach. You can say, I just like the realtors, if you're looking for a quick sale, that's what I do. I can help you. If you have valuables in the property, I've got an estate sale company. If you have trash or clutter, I can help you. And I would even tell them, and I guarantee you no other investors doing this, I would say, if you're looking to get top dollar and you're not in a hurry, I can recommend a good realtor. And if you kind of let them know that you're there to help them, just like the realtors, they're more they're more likely to be open up to you and actually talk to you. And I always tell investors, only about 10% of these are going to have some compelling urgency that they're going to take your offer. The other 90% are going to list with the realtors. So you may as well have it be a realtor that you trust, and because some of them, their situation will change. 2-3 months down the road, if it doesn't sell, they may consider your investor offer, and it's good to refer the ones that you don't buy to a realtor that'll have your back if the situation changes. So I think I would, and I'm not saying don't lie to them, but just don't initially refer to yourself as an investor. Call yourself a a probate consultant, probate specialist, probate expert, or just somebody that helps people that have inherited property, and just make the cash purchase one of your services. And I think it will indicate to them that you're more interested in helping them than stealing their house. Unfortunately, that investors kind of have that perception that you take half their equity and you don't really do anything for it. Just like we have perception of realtors that we don't do anything and we earn 6% commission. So just be different, figure out what all the other investors are doing and do the opposite. And if you haven't connected with the realtor in your market, I'd strongly recommend it. Work as a team.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah. I am connected with a realtor, so I do transfer them some clients when I do gather some leads for them.
And have you listened to the fast track videos? Have you gone through that yet or not?
I haven't. I haven't had a chance to go through those yet.
Yeah, because that's all covered in there. Anybody that hasn't done that on this call, they're 3 10 to 15-minute videos. It'll take you anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, depending on how much you drill down, and it really covers 98% of the questions you're going to have. Come on the role play calls too. The first Wednesday of every month, we all get together and we brainstorm and we role play, the best way to handle situations like that. And you can also go on the website and listen to the past role play calls. We've covered that exact topic several times. If you go on the website and you go to the call, we have 23 archived calls and for role play calls, and you can just hit the little tab there and it'll tell you what we talked about, and go listen to a couple of those calls because we've gone through that before with people that have been with us for a while. Okay?
All right, awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We have one more person in the queue. There's room for more. Hit *6 and hit 1. Otherwise, phone number ending in 6650. You may be our last one for the week. You're up.
Thank you. This is Kay in Virginia.
Hey, Kay.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. I'm new at this. I've lettered out to my first batch, and I just got an email to set for an appointment to talk to one of the personal representatives.
Great.
And she sent back an email. I had an appointment set for tomorrow, and she sent back an email to me and another realtor and what looks to be 2 cash buyers that she has to
that was nice of her to group message you so you knew who your competition was. That's great.
Yeah, so that's very helpful.
Sure.
But what is the best strategy for that? Because I'm not going to have a conversation up front. We're going to meet at the house, and I assume she's going to meet with each one of these people at the same afternoon. Sure.
And I know Chad's gotten this question before, and Tim, and you can chime in, but you want to, knowing that they're going to meet with an investor, you probably want to prepare at least 2 prices. You want to prepare maybe even 3 prices. Prepare 3 different CMAs. One would be, a 30-day sale and close with typically what an investor would offer, and then your next CMA might be a put it in the MLS, but a relatively quick sale. And then your last CMA might be, if you took 3 or 4 months and really, tried to get top dollar for it. So, because most of the investor, is going to be going with the low ball offers. So you may as well give them that option also. Do you know if they have some compelling motivation or not?
I do not. I've been snooping around, and it looks like it's a husband and wife, but I don't think they've lived together since the 90s.
Okay.
Because it looks like she lives somewhere else and that he may have been still living there.
And there's no way for you to have a conversation with them before the meeting, right?
Probably could try.
Is the person living in the house? Is there somebody living there?
No, because she said she couldn't meet at the house that day. She had to postpone it.
But you do have her address, right?
Yes, where I think she's actually living now. Yes.
Right. I mean, you could, for no other reason, just happen to be stumbling by her neighborhood and go knock on the door, even if you couldn't get her on the phone. And it's always worth a try to do that. Jim's point's probably the best one. The easiest way to determine how to play this is find out what the motivation is. If they're willing to wait, then you don't have to worry too much about the cash buyer side because they're looking to maximize their revenue. But if the more you know, the better you can be, and try to do a little research. It never hurts if you can get it done.
Right. Okay, that's good advice. I'll
All right. Thank you very much. We have one more.
One other thing. One other thing.
Go ahead. Sure.
More importantly, the woman on the phone from California, Gail, would it be possible for her to post those marketing materials that she sent out that were so
she used she used our system to do that. And if you're interested in getting that done, we set them up for her, and we'll be happy to do the same thing for you in your market.
Okay.
And, you know, without obligation. I mean, we'll certainly show you what we're using, but it's built into your system to do that, and we'll be happy to kind of show you what we put out there and get you taken care of.
Is it just part of the leads generation subscription?
It's called Mailbox Motivator, and obviously we charge to put it out the door because there's postage and, you know, setup and all that and all of that. But you take a quick look and, you know, give us a buzz, and we're happy to help you.
Oh, okay. So there's marketing materials in addition to the letters.
Sure. Yeah, it's under the campaign setup.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
There are postcards and flyers and all kinds of stuff like that.
Great question. Please come back next week and let us know that you got the listing.
Thank you.
Okay. One more person in the queue. Phone number ending in 6148. You're up.
Yes, hi. I am new to the program, but I'm using the options letter. And I wondered in the case where somebody wants to keep it in their family and essentially they just want to have the niece buy the property. I'm a licensed realtor, but I'm also a licensed mortgage guy. And the question is whether, you know, have you had any luck with people, you know, recommending a mortgage guy to go do a refinance into the niece's name, but that kind of cuts us out of the real estate transaction. Any thoughts on that?
Well, it sounds like they're going to do that regardless, right? There probably is not going to be a real estate transaction if they're going to deed it over to the niece.
Yeah, it's a question. Yeah. But the more you help them, the more likely they are to not sell it, so to speak. So it's a little counterintuitive that it's, you know, not.
Yeah, I'd always err on the side of doing what's best for the client. If that's what they want and they need help with, absolutely offer to help them with the mortgage. And maybe the niece
might fall out, and the niece also might fall out and not be able to qualify if she's got to go got to get it done, and you're in the driver's seat should that happen. The more you can offer to help, and I'll play Chad here. We always say lead with value first. If you have the additional optional value of being able to help them with financing, certainly let them know that. If you can, anytime that you can help with financing and make things easy on them, they're far better off to do that and let them know you can do it. You don't have to try to say, you know, I'm here to try to pick your bones and beat you up on the mortgage. But if there's anything that you can do to offer, you might be able to say, I can certainly help you get her financed and get that done.
Right. It's a feel-good solution in the end of the day.
You bet. Always that way. And you know, value first is always the best approach in this. It's back to the very beginning of the call. Jim made the point of, you know, empathy and all of that. People are in tough circumstances, and whoever the executor is of this, the personal rep, they've never done this before. They don't know anything about this. The dealing with a family member to finance this makes it even harder. And if you can take that off their back and say, yeah, you know, Sally, you go talk to this guy. He'll be happy to take care of that for you, and we'll get you financed, and we can move this, and we won't have to list it, and it'll save us money and all that. But that way, they're not involved in it. She's got good handling, and you're in great shape.
And I think you said this guy would be him. You said you're a licensed mortgage broker, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, refer them to you. Let them know that that's one of the services you can perform. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just say,
you're very welcome.
Hey, just ask them to give you her name and, you know, tell them that you're going to be calling, and you'll be happy to take care of it. And that way you're referred into that, and you'll at least get the mortgage out of the deal.
Right.
Plus, you can find out if she's going to. You'll also find out if it's possible to paper her. If you can't get her down, you know, you can't get her papered, then she's not going to be able to buy it anyway. So now you're back to the, okay, we tried and that's not going to happen. So now let's talk about what we're going to do with the property, and you're in the driver's seat.
That help?
Sure.
I guess so.
Could I have follow-up questions a little bit different?
Sure.
So I expect that a lot of the elderly people who are you know leaving a house and passing away, sometimes the properties need work. Have you do you end up directing people towards like the renovation loans, or are you able to sell the houses as is most of the time?
Both, actually. I mean, if it's and again, options. I absolutely would give them that option. Being a mortgage broker, that we can certainly sell it as is. We find that most people are looking for a quick solution, so probably the majority of the people would lean towards just selling it as is. But it certainly would not be it would be an extra value that you would bring if you would mention to them, I can get you a renovation loan and fix up the house, maybe put $10,000 into it and get an extra $25,000 out of it. That's certainly an extra option that some people would take advantage of. Is that what you meant?
That is what I meant. But yeah, I was kind of wondering if you had a feeling for what percentage of the time people just go ahead and
it always depends on the circumstance. And if you pull your CMAs and you find that a 3-2 in that market, just use that as an example, normally going for this, but then you basically do a walk through the house and you see that there's a hole in the wall and the ceiling's leaking and all that. You can say, so here are all the things that are going to beat you up in the marketplace. If you want to sell it as is, this is what it's going to. These are the things that you're going to have a problem with. However, if we fix them, here's what you could look forward to as a price. And that way, again, you're coming off as a very well-informed person. You've done your homework in terms of doing that. So you got a great opportunity to do that if it's a fixer-upper and it needs it, and you can justify what Jim just said, justify the value being 2.5 times what they're going to put in it. They may do it, plus you can do it and finance it out of the proceeds. So that's great for you too.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. And we have one more person in the queue. Phone number ending in 2316. You're up next.
Hey, it's Matt again. But I just forgot to ask you, when I was on a call about 3 or 4 weeks ago, you guys talked about having somebody make the calls for you. Is that a reality yet?
It is. And I wish Chad was on the call, but we actually are beta testing 2 different domestic companies, and so far we're getting rave. I believe we have about 6 people in the beta test, and so far I think every single one of them has taken listings, so it does seem to be working very well. If you are interested in that, send us an email to support@alltheleads.com and just let us know that you would like someone to make the calls for you, and Chad will reach back out to you. He should be back by the end of the week, and he can go over that program with you.
Actually,
Tim, do you have any insight on that?
I do, but Chad won't be getting back to him until probably during the week next week. He's going to be tied up through the end of the week pretty heavily because he's in this intense firewalking seminar. But the one thing I can tell you is we're actually going to add a couple more people to that program in the next week or so. We've got another potential source we're going to use for it. So if you're interested, this is probably a really good time to ask. Drop us an email to support, and we'll get back in touch with you as soon as we firm that up, and you'll be the next in line to try it as a beta. What we're doing is we're vetting people that do this work, and as we do that, we're putting it out and letting you get the benefit from it as well, and you get a good deal on it to start with. So we'll be glad to start with you if you'd like. Send it to support@alltheleads.com, and we'll get right back to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, great call. We really appreciate. Oh, we got one more person. All right, premature close. You're coming back. 2535. You're back. Go ahead. You had another question?
Yeah. I heard you guys talking about the last question when there was someone that would be able to call for you. Where are these people calling from? Is it because I've done a thing before where they call from like India, but
these are all U.S. domestic callers. All U.S. domestic callers. We've looked at using other sources and we've rejected all of that. That's why we never rolled this out. Everybody else that's done this and has tried to put it out there, most of them are doing exactly what you said, and they're not using U.S. domestic callers. And unfortunately, it doesn't always work very well. And so the people that we found are not only U.S. domestic, but they're really well trained and well schooled on this. They're in the real estate business. They know their stuff, and it's not the cheapest way to do it, but it's definitely the best way to do it.
All right. And can you hear their recordings, or is that all managed through the company that arranges this?
The idea that we're working with here is that our intent is to have them make the calls for you and send you back the leads. That's what you're looking for. And if they get the information, they're going to get a property information filled out. If they can get that done, in some cases they're going to say, it's a come list me. They're going to give you the information. I don't think they're giving you the recorded calls, but in many cases they're definitely just providing, like Jim said, we're getting listings out of these, so they're doing it right. Whatever they're doing is working well for them.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely send you guys an email about that because I'm very interested in this.
It's wonderful.
We know that it's a good program because the reality is just again, like what we said. Jim made the point earlier that in a lot of markets, people are putting the leads under their pillow, even though they're paying for them. They put them under their pillow and hope that just by sending out a letter they'll get something. And sometimes that alone will be successful. But the real way to do it is make that call. You've got a warm follow up. Hey, I dropped you a letter. Wanted to know if you got it. You got a great intro to that call, and that's really the thing that makes this work. And a lot of people don't make them, so we'd be happy to help you.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah,
Jim, I didn't mean to step on you.
No, that's okay.
Definitely a good thing, to be able to, especially in Arizona here. I don't know how many followers you guys got here, but definitely even after the second day I called, people are already saying that they've already gotten 3, 4, even 5 calls already. So it's a great way to get ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's a tight market out there, and you got to do it. Sorry, Jim.
You wouldn't be in the Phoenix area, would you?
Yes.
Good guess. You're probably the most hyper-competitive area in the market in the country, and we do have people to do well with it there. So yeah, good for you. That doesn't mean you can't take listings. It's just you just got to go to one step further.
I definitely get my fair share of the cut, but you just got to get ahead of the game.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, we do have one more person in the queue, and we're probably going to wrap it up because we do want to keep these calls right at an hour to respect your time, let you all get back to work. Last up today is phone number ending in 4334.
Yeah, hey guys, it's Adam. Quick question. I might have to cut it short because I have a probate attorney coming to meet me right now.
Awesome.
I'm kind of new to the group. Actually, I'm very new to the group. About a weekend. I came in late on the call. I heard about your maybe ISA service. What is that costing? Or did you already discuss that?
No, send us an email because we have 2 or 3 different models, and it'd be much easier. Send us an email, and we'll get back to you with the different pricing plans. It is anywhere from so much per call to a flat fee to a percentage of the commission. We have different plans that they offer. So we'd rather go over that with you one-on-one. But again, just send an email to support@alltheleads, and we'll get back to you with that. And if you do want to test one of them and be the next beta tester, just let us know. We'll get you in the line in the queue.
Okay, yeah, I might want to do that. I guess the more importantly, I'm shooting from the hip here. Is there any sort of tips or nuggets you can maybe give me in this conversation with the attorney? He's actually a friend of mine from my high school wrestling team. I just haven't seen him in forever, and kind of surprised he is a probate lawyer.
Absolutely. Attorneys are motivated to sell these properties. They typically don't bill hourly; they bill a flat fee. So let him know that. In matter of fact, my partner, you don't have time to watch it right now, but there's a video under tips from the trainer that deals specifically with this. But just remember that he probably gets a lot of calls and a lot of requests from these people that go beyond his law degree and the scope of what he should be doing. So let him know that you will get all that stuff off his plate. You'll help him dispose of the personal property, repairs, and let him know that you'll free him up to do what he's good at, and also let him know that you'll get these properties sold quickly so he can get paid and move on to the next one. That's the only reluctance attorneys have, is that they're reluctant to they very much would like an efficient realtor who can help them get this done and get this off their plate, but they are afraid to recommend agents because they're afraid it'll reflect badly on them if you don't do a good job. So just the fact that you're being proactive in meeting with them, let him know you'll be just as proactive at getting all the legal things off his plate. You'll handle that all for him, and you'll get this property sold and let him move on to the next one. Just be real, go ahead, Tim, you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the other thing is go to school on him a little bit. Say, I'm pursuing this. I'm actually going to and I'm putting words in your mouth because I'm not sure that you're going to do that, but if you choose to become, a certified probate expert and go through our training, you're going to educate yourself in this, and the more that he can help you, if there are any things that you need to know about the local market, about the court system, or anything else, go to school on him. You're getting a free education, because one of the things that we would have encouraged you to do and do encourage you to do is sit with an attorney. So pick his brain. Say, how long does it take to get something done? Are there any cool things that have to happen in the court to get it done? Is anything I need to tell my potential customers? But more importantly, you want to make sure that he knows that whatever he's going to ever ask you to do, if he ever gets anything to you, you're going to handle it perfectly. And more importantly, you're going to be extremely communicative with not only him, but the people that are doing that. In other words, the PRs, the communication is real high on his list. That way he always looks good, and you're going to continue to make him look good with his clients and with the court. Oftentimes he's getting assigned these out of the court sometimes. So you can become his best friend if you can do a good job with this, but pick his brain.
Boy, great point too, Tim. Attorneys, Ted, I was going to say attorneys, go ahead.
Real quick, yeah, he's here now, so I got to run.
You got to go? Okay.
Yeah, let me follow up with you guys in a little bit, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, what I was just going to say, attorneys tend to not have small egos, so there's nothing wrong with making him feel important and saying, please, can you, you're a respected probate attorney, can you give me some tips? That's certainly going to be a great way of bonding with him, like Tim said, and let him know that you're a good listener and you'll communicate just as well with his clients and help them, and don't be afraid to ask questions if you don't know them. I think that's a great point. Excellent. Well, thank you, guys. This is an awesome call. I am going to go ahead and close it now. I always like we had some great testimonials. We had some great success stories, some great ideas. Excellent call and great participation. Thank you, as always, for those of you that participated. Thank everyone for being here. We know you took an hour out of your lives today to be here. I always like to close these calls by challenging you. Take one idea, one thought, one thing you learned on today's call, go out and put it into practice, and come back next Thursday and share it with the group. Thank you very much, guys. We'll talk to you same time next Thursday. Make it a great week.